Unfortunately, most people, especially in the 20th century, 19th century, said, well, like Newton, let's measure everything. Let's measure people's behavior. Let's measure their psychology. Let's measure their health. You go to we can have my blood test. Let's measure everything. We measure Wall Street.
Their voting habits.
Measure, measure, measure. Can we put a number on how much I care for my wife? Can I put a number on how I feel? And we tried, unfortunately, try to mathematize the finer things in life, and then recognize that there's things that, unfortunately, just fall outside. Schrodinger wrote a very famous book about what is life.
Okay, let's stop there because I'll just comment on this because he's absolutely correct, even though this is Jeffrey Epstein. But what he's saying is 1,000% correct. You cannot measure everything. You cannot measure the ocean. You cannot measure the infinite. You cannot measure the sea. You cannot measure all of probability. This is the core fundamental error of science. When I tell men you are dense or you're not, you matter or you don't, they ask me, where's your measurement? Where's your scale? But the scale is your life. It is your mirror. Because again, you cannot measure now. Imagine trying to measure every single probability vector now and how it all interacts and how it leads to different outcomes and different possibilities and how different possibilities shrink or expand based on what's interacting and what's not interacting and all the timelines. And you can't measure that. That's literally impossible. No AI can do that because even the AI is within the now. Nothing can do that. You can't do that. Science can't do that. And this is where science must kneel, or it will drown in its own chasing its tail. Because you can't measure the ocean. You cannot measure the ocean with a stick. You cannot measure the sky with a ruler. It's just not going to work. You cannot measure love. You cannot measure feelings. It is simply what is and what isn't. Same way I say, when you look at Elon Musk, you don't ask me for a number. You say, he's dense. He bends the world. Do you bend the world? Yes or no? That's all I've been saying. And then from there, you can apply the same thing. Does this civilization bend the world? Does this civilization bend itself? Can this civilization escape its own noise and entropy? And the answer is no, it cannot. So the truth is, Epstein's absolutely correct. The core fundamental error of science is they try to measure everything, but you can't measure everything because measurement is downstream of what is. Measurement is downstream of probability. It's probability trying to measure itself, but that measurement is already too slow, too delayed. It is not made of now. It is not made of pure isness. So all I can say is this. If you're going to look and try to measure people for their weight and density and scale, it's not going to work because there's no measurement to measure presence. You just feel it, you see it, you use your eyes or you don't, because that's all I've been saying. Use your eyes. Who's dense? Who's not? Is this civilization dense? Can it bend itself? Can it bend fate? And the answer is no. From one man to the entire civilization. So Epstein's correct, and yeah.